Welcome, everyone, to the Hurting Humanity channel. The FBI is warning anyone who uses Gmail, Outlook, AOL, and Yahoo that hackers can gain access to your accounts. Now, this might sound very repetitive to you. You might say, yeah, I'm getting tired of hearing all these stories about Bank of America being hacked, AT&T being hacked. Now they're warning me that my Gmail may be attacked. You might be becoming desensitized to it, and that's being done by design because they are preparing you to have no option other than to start transitioning from using passwords into using biometrics. They're using fear tactics like this while at the same exact time, as you've probably noticed, which I've been covering a lot over the last few months, you've probably been logging into Gmail where they've been asking you to sign up for a passkey. You've probably had the same problem on sites like PayPal or maybe even accessing basic subscriptions on your phone or on your computer. That's being done by design. They're pretending that what they're doing is forcing you into a passkey to protect you from these make-believe hackers that we're supposed to believe exist in a warehouse somewhere. And again, the image of the hacker is just so comical. This is such a basic mind control op that they use and they do on people. Is they show this guy with a hoodie. They show him in a dark room surrounded by computer screens. And that's what they want you to automatically think when these stories come out. You don't know who this mysterious man is, but he's working day and night because he wants to hack into your Gmail account, right? And then you don't even say to yourself, well, what does he want with my Gmail account? How would he find me out of all these people? Well, he's going to hack into AT&T, and then you're in AT&T, or he's going to hack into Gmail overall. Then he's going to get all the Gmail accounts, right? Because he wants your bank account so much. And the majority of people would say, well, let him have my bank account access because I don't have any money for him to steal anyway, right? But the majority of people don't think that way. The majority of people say, oh my goodness, what can I do? My identity may be stolen. All these 60-minute pieces that they put out there about mysterious boogeymen who want to steal your social security number and who want to pretend to be you. They want to parade around in the world pretending to be you. Or, these other stories about people phishing, pretending to be celebrities, talking to old people, and somehow these people are falling for these stories and sending money to Keanu Reeves and all these other celebrities, which I've covered in the past, where it's so ridiculous because these women are getting seduced online by fake accounts. All they do is put an avatar up of a celebrity and they say, hey, can you loan me money? And we're supposed to believe that these people aren't saying, well, why would Keanu Reeves be asking some random woman in Wisconsin for $50,000? Keanu Reeves is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. He needs $50,000 from a complete stranger that somehow he's gotten in touch with on the internet. And then these old women not only send him $50,000 because they're apparently under hypnosis, they also think that they're in a relationship with the celebrity. And then on top of that, they take the time out of their day when they find out that they've been had to go on national television on 60 Minutes to let everybody know that they've been had. Hi, I'm on 60 Minutes. I just want everyone out there to know that I'm so dumb I sent $50,000 to a complete stranger. I wired the money to an account that didn't even have Keanu Reeves' name on it because I thought I was in a relationship with Keanu Reeves, right? So we're supposed to believe, on top of falling for these scams, that these people are actually going on national television to admit to it. Might as well have a tattoo on their forehead that says sucker, right? But of course, the tattoo on the forehead for sucker wouldn't be for these people falling for these spams. It would be for the audience out there that actually believes these stories because they're manufactured. It's manufactured news. It's to condition you and control you and get you on board with the things that Big Brother wants you on board with. And biometric data, biometric everything is what's on deck. Getting you to use your fingerprints is just a transition into getting to use your retina, which is just a transition into getting you yourself to become the QR code. Because just like you saw when I covered the Amazon Go stores many years ago, where people were going in and walking out and they didn't have to use a credit card, they didn't have to use anything because the cameras were monitoring them. Well, eventually that's what it's going to be like in the world. There's not just going to be cameras monitoring you. Your body is what's going to be scanned because of the biometrics, because of the tag that's going to be inside of your body. So back to the story. The FBI is warning people again about Gmail, Outlook, AOL, Yahoo users that hackers want to get into the account. And then right at the top of the article, you have your answer to problem reaction with the solution. Updated November 3rd with new reports into passkey adoption as alternative to MFA, with new updates to widen take up further, resolving key challenges. Cyber criminals are gaining access to email accounts, the FBI warned this week, even when accounts are protected by multi-factor authentication. Attacks begin when users are lured into visiting suspicious websites or click on phishing links that download malicious software onto their computer. Email access itself comes by way of cookie theft, not the devilish tracking cookies that we read so much about, and which cause havoc when Google reversed its promise to eradicate them from Chrome. These are session cookies or security cookies or remember me cookies. They store credentials to stop you from having to log in every time you visit a website or access one of your accounts, right? So what do you take out of that? You take out of that, first of all, 99% of the people don't even know what that even means, right? Cookie theft, all this stuff. And what they should focus in on is that whole notion of storing credentials, because the majority of people have credentials stored. So in other words, every time you log into your Gmail, you don't have to manually type in your entire Gmail name and then put your entire password in. Usually you could just drop it in by clicking with one time with the mouse and it'll go in, right? And then now we're seeing passcode stuff pop up. They're going to remove that to make it more difficult for you to log in. They're going to make it so that you have to manually do it every time, which is going to irritate you, which is going to get you on board with what they want you on board with, which is biometrics, where they could say, well, nobody's going to be, now you don't have to manually do it. That's very tedious. And you'll say, well, why can't I just do the drop down thing again? Well, because they're hacking your cookies. So now we're going to make you go back to step one and just manually insert every time. People are going to go, oh, good. I don't even remember what my password is. And they go, well, we have the solution for it. We have the solution. Use your thumbprint. Let us scan your retina. There's a camera right on your phone. And they're going to go, oh, all right. And then they get conditioned like that into accepting what the government wants you to use already, which is biometrics. They go on to say the threat affects all email platforms providing web logins, albeit Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, and AOL are by far the largest. The same threat clearly impacts other accounts as well, including shopping sites and financial platforms, albeit there are now often additional protections in place, especially with financial accounts. MFA is not usually stored in the same way, and criminals use other means to steal live codes. Many users across the web are victimized by cookie theft malware. And again, the 99% of the people don't even know what that means. So they're automatically confused because anytime they could use wording where people out there don't even understand what it means, they'll just listen and say, okay, what do I have to do? What do I got to do? And they'll say, look, you just start giving your biometrics. You've been desensitized to it, right? Because when the cell phone first started making you use fingerprint, when the iPhone started making people, when they bought an iPhone, they turned it on, it was asking for their thumbprint. People were like, whoa, how did we get to this point? Okay, well, again, time is their friend. The more desensitized you get to it, the more you're likely to accept it. So they waited 10 years. They waited for you to just constantly see it. Maybe some people gave into it because they were like, well, this is easier than putting in a passcode. And now they're saying, look, it's been around a while. We haven't heard stories about people's accounts getting hacked conveniently with fingerprints or anything like that because it's not possible to do. And if it does happen, it'll be very rare. So we're not going to report on that. We're just going to make it sound like it's really safe. But everybody else out there that's manually entering passwords, well, you're in big trouble because they're coming after you. And in fact, we're going to take away the convenience of logging in with saved verification by making you retype everything and memorize passwords again because most people don't even know their passwords, right? Think about all the times that Gmail, et cetera, have made you change your password. How about that, right? Everybody out there has some passwords that they use. And then what happens? Oh, about a year later, they say you have to put in a new password, right? Then you got to figure out a new password. Then you forget. Then you're thinking about your old password, but you say, thankfully, I can click on that button that automatically stores my password, so it doesn't really matter. Because 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, I'm going to be using my device anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me whether or not it's saved on the device, and it doesn't matter to me if I remember the password. Well, guess what? That option is now going to be gone. They say many across the web are victimized by this cookie theft malware. Google has warned giving attackers access to their web accounts. While fundamental to the modern web due to their powerful utility, Google describes security cookies as a lucrative target for attackers, right? Typically, the type of cookie is generated when a user clicks the Remember This Device checkbox when logging into a website. The FBI explains if a cyber criminal obtains the Remember Me cookie from a user's recent login to their web email, they can use that cookie to sign in as the user without needing their username, password, or multi-factor authentication. Okay, so what you're hearing in those sentences, again, what they're telling you is that the hacker isn't necessarily finding your password out from somewhere. He's hacking in to the cookies inside of the Remember Me box, right? So you see what they're saying here? They're saying we can't have the Remember Me box anymore. You shouldn't use it anymore. And then people are going to be like, this isn't convenient enough for me. And they're not going to realize that they're deliberately doing that to get you to accept biometrics as the new way of logging into everything. Everything is going to be biometrical. I believe personally, and I've said it for a long time, that biometrics and the mark of the beast will be one and the same with the digital ID. These things will be all tied together through biometrics. They're going to make you think that it's safe and secure because somebody can't attack or go after your fingerprint, your retina. It's unique to you. Eventually, your DNA, which will be modified. They never give you a motive, right? There's no motive for these hackers who's going to hack into a grandma's Gmail account living in Idaho. What's the motive? Oh, they're going to hack into the Gmail so they can get the bank information. Well, how are they going to really get that, right? I mean, they're going to hack it into what? Oh, they're going to go through they want to read grandma's emails that she sent it to her grandson about a sweater that she's knitting, right? There's never a motive, and there's never a real reason how they actually find the individual, how they do, right? They'll just give you this on a mass scale. Oh, they've gotten access to AT&T. Nobody goes, how did they get access to Bank of America or AT&T? How is some small hacking group going after big corporations? Oh, right, because the hacking group works with the corporation, and the corporation is giving access to people's personal information to the hackers because the hackers don't really exist in a factory somewhere. They exist within your government because they're called the CIA, the DOJ, the NSA, all three-letter word organizations that are here to spy on you and to go after you and to take away your rights and to force you into what they want, which is biometrics. So they go on to say, cyber criminals are increasingly focused on stealing Remember Me cookies and using them as their preferred way of accessing a victim's email. Bada bing, bada boom. Right there in fine print, it tells you no more. And people hear that and they're like, okay, well, now what? They don't realize what they're telling you is that they're going to make it difficult for you to log in, period. They're going to make you have to remember stuff. They're going to make you have to manually do it if it's on your phone. You know how annoying you got to manually press each letter on the phone. If you're on your computer, you have to, manually type in both the email and then boom. That's how this whole thing works. It's as simple as that. Because after sentence and sentence and sentence and sentence of them telling you about all the things you need to worry about with what you can click on, what you can't, what you can save, what you can't, they go on to say, and this is Forbes, the good news for users is that passkeys are catching fire. According to a new report, in the 2 years since passkeys were announced and made available for consumer use, passkey awareness has risen by 50% from 39%. And why do you think that is? It isn't because people have been looking up the passkey because they're nervous about getting hacked. It's because every time you log into something now, they try to force the passkey. So in other words, they're saying that this passkey thing, it's some unique thing that's just popped up out of nowhere. Oh yeah, then why is Gmail already begging you to sign up for a passkey? Gmail is literally begging you, and they're doing it to the point where every time you log in, they're trying to annoy you so that you eventually go, fine, I don't want this notification to pop up about a passkey anymore. And if you don't go along with it, within the next year or so, they're going to say, look, we're switching over to passkey. This is the new way in. You won't be able to access your Gmail account anymore, and people will eventually just give in. They just need to make you aware of it first. Then they need to make you fearful and tell you that you can't do the old things you used to do to log in. And then you're just eventually going to cave into it by force, but making you think, of course, that you're making the choice here, and you're not. So when they tell you that the good news is that passkeys are catching fire, it's because the government wants passkeys to catch fire because they want you to use biometrics for everything, and they're obviously going to force you into it by not letting you into any of your accounts anymore. So the rest of the article just goes on to say, and convince the people reading it that they need to transition to passkeys. Passkeys are primarily aimed at the consumer home market. Moves are now afoot to extend it into enterprises. Big corporations will be using it. I mean, what do you mean? The move is being made. Gmail is pretty much everybody has a Gmail account. The majority of people, right? Maybe not people as much anymore as they're trying to shift from using Google products, but the majority of people do, right? 9 out of 10 people, I'd say 9.5 out of 10 people have a Gmail when you ask, if they give you their email and they say, hey, email me here, right? Okay, well, if they're forcing it on everybody, and then suddenly the banks are forcing it on everybody, this isn't really people complying and going, we want passkeys. It's them telling you that they want you to use a passkey. So then when they do that, you should be saying to yourself, why do they want me to use a passkey in the first place? Well, they're transitioning you into biometrics. That's what passkeys are. They might give you the option right now on places like Gmail where they say, give us, you can scan your eye, you can scan your thumb. They might give you the option to put in a 4-digit code, but that will be removed eventually because there'll be more stories just like this. And they'll say now they're hacking into your 4 passcode thing. It's not unique enough. They're able to scramble all the numbers up using, some type of app that they've downloaded. And now they can hack your 4-digit code very easily. And you'll go, oh my goodness, well, just use your eyeball. Use your thumbprint. How about we use your DNA? Okay. And the next thing you know, we're living in a biometric hell. This is what they do. That's what the news is. It's not there to inform. It's there to condition you. They're conditioning people into accepting the things that they want. There is no hacking going on with Gmails outside of the government themselves doing it to their own civilians to force you into passkeys. That's the moral of the story. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.